So what I have been a part of is pulling the different Pacific nations together, and alongside, and it was a piece of work we did around ending violence around domestic violence and addressing domestic violence, and I believe that in order for that to be a true, in order for us to do that work in a real way, that we needed to acknowledge the different Pacific nations. And so we brought different Pacific groups together and said to them, tell us about what your concepts, what does it look like for you? When you're addressing domestic violence, what would it look like in your context as Samoans, as Tongans, and so we developed this thing called the conceptual frameworks. It's Ngā Waka o Kainga Tapuna. And it was important to bring those people in. So we had lots of groups of people coming in to talk to us. And I can speak about the Samoan group, for instance. We had church ministers, wives. We had matai, so chiefs from different villages. We had just the ordinary, not the ordinary, I shouldn't say that, whiwhānau ainga. You had young people who kind of would come in and actually have make a contribution to the conversation or to the talk about how we understood Samoa. And it was very interesting, and I learned so much from just sitting and listening and being part of that conversation, and we don't have enough of those. But it's also the way in which, it's informed the way in which I work with our people. And so there's still, that continues to, and each of those Pacific nations came up with their own conceptual framework. Yeah. So my experience in evaluation is being able to gather information that informs, and so the pieces of evaluation, the pieces of work that I've been involved with recently has been, we've been contracted by, say like health or the state to find out what our people think about certain things, yeah. And so I've interviewed the Pacific communities, and the information that they give over are their experiences. So in gathering this information, it's one thing to gather it, it's another thing to actually understand it, and understand it in a particular context. And so whilst I can understand the Samoan context of maybe what they are saying, I don't have the depths to understand the other Pacific nations. So your questions have to be as such so that you actually they are talking about their context. But you have to be able to ask the right questions. Yeah. So it's a learning. It's a continued learning. I don't say that I'm perfect at it. I'm becoming aware of those different. So evaluation is important in lots of different ways. I think what's come out of a lot of that evaluation for me so far is that there is a need for different Pacific nation people to be involved. So then the story that we told is a story, not taking what we might think out of that and making that the story. It's so important that we continue to check ourselves out when we're doing this work, even when I'm doing it with Samoans. How do we ensure to make sure that they are the true beneficiaries of the information we gather from them? Yeah, from the information that they choose to share with us. I think first and foremost we need to recognise Indigenous people here. They're just not part of a wider group of people in the world. They are Māori and they are the people of this land. And what I love about, and I love anything Indigenous, what I love about Indigenous spaces is that we do get, some of the stories we share are the same stories that other Indigenous peoples have experienced. But decolonising is, and that we just, it's easy to, no, I can't say that. I think the checking out of each other, but being able to have a dialogue that is truth, people's truths, and that we can be honest about what is happening for us. You know, I think anything Indigenous, anything in Māori, anything Samoan, like it has to be good. You know, if that is from the place, whatever that is, from whatever place, that's a good thing. That's a good place to be. You know, it's a good place to start, a good place to develop and create. I will always support anything that is Indigenous. There's a positiveness about that. And that there's not an absolute about it. It's something that we grow and that we continue to take care of.